Okay, I'd like to welcome Robyn Kippenberger from New Zealand now to give the New Zealand experience. So then we'll have had the full range of what's happening. Welcome, Robyn.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. If it had been up to our GPS, we would have been in Nerang or somewhere like that. I'm not sure where Staghorn Road is, but it's certainly not here. So I've got Lloyd Warren, one of our regional chief inspectors, with me, and I've also got Sarah Elliott Warren, no relation. I have to always say that, who is our Saving Lives ambassador. We're loaded, and have I got a remote? No. Oh, thank you. I just have to see. I'm going to whiz you through this because this is actually a presentation that I can take an hour for, but I promise you I won't take it that long. And I guess that it's a little bit different from what's going to be on the DVD or the CD, because one of the things that we have identified really strongly in the work that we've done is that leadership in this area is the most important thing that you can find and that you can maintain and that you can encourage. And that doesn't mean the people that are leading it from the top. This is grassroots leadership. So if you'll just bear with me through this presentation, you will see why. Am I going or am I not? It's not. Middle? What do I have to point it at? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And it's not happening. I don't know what no. Can you? Maybe on the side? The side one? No, it's definitely that one. Okay. It's a DVD. Yes. Will you run it from there? Okay. I'll rapidly. So in New Zealand, 2 years ago, we started a new program which we called Saving Lives. We purposely called it that because there is, as there is in Australia, there is a very fixed view about no-kill. It is a view that believes that no-kill is not possible, that no-kill can only occur if you are selective in the animals that you take into your centre, and it's certainly not something that we really wanted to launch and have a whole lot of negative feeling about. So we called it Saving Lives, and we launched it very gingerly 2 years ago at our AGM. We talked about the fact that we wanted to push our euthanasia rates down a lot further than they were already down. We have got to a point where we were stopped. We got to around about 50% euthanasia rate and we had stopped. Some SPCAs were coping and some were failing miserably. New Zealand, for those of you who don't know, we have 48 SPCAs and a head office. Those SPCAs range from intakes of 16,000 down to about 1,000 animals a year. That means if you look at the context of what I'm going to talk to you about, I need 48 leaders, and I actually need more than that. So when we started this, I approached our now president, Bob Kerridge, who basically is Mr. SPCA in New Zealand, and I asked him if he would lead this, because I sit at a desk and I'm seen as somebody who pushes paper rather than dog poo, and that's not, nobody was going to take me credibly, whereas Bob has done every level of animal sheltering and is extremely well known in New Zealand. And he said, thankfully, he said yes, but he did more than that. He then took away my very sketchy one-page ultimatum to my council that actually I couldn't do this if we didn't move further on from where we were, because I just simply couldn't have those statistics keeping on coming over my desk and not doing anything. And at that stage, I had read Nathan Winograd's book, Redemption, and so I gave him Redemption, and I gave him my premise, and he took it away, and he gave us back what we are now basing our Saving Lives on, which is a 10-point program, very, very similar to Nathan's program, but it was specific to the New Zealand situation, our 78 regional councils, and the difficulties that we have with trap, neuter, release. So it took into account those things, and also the fact that we are one organisation, but we also have a lot of, especially cat rescue, but breed rescue groups in New Zealand, and we wanted to be inclusive in that. But what we did start with was a vision, and the vision was that every single animal is precious, every life is precious, because what we felt was that unless the centres were looking at each animal as it came in, not as a number, not as something that wasn't going to fit into a cage, then it was easy to euthanise a litter of kittens simply because there wasn't room. And I love this quote because it's very much what we've done. It's holding on to that vision at the highest level and then letting people make their own choices around it. So if you feed the vision, then you... And I need a change. How are we going to do this? Change. Okay, change again. Change. I need to... Yes. So... No, that's way. All right. And another change. This is going to be very difficult. Okay. So our vision, which we presented at our 2010 conference, was that every life is precious. And at that conference, we were fortunate enough to have inveigled Nathan Winograd over to lead the conference. He is, as any of you who met him 2 years ago, convincing, and your previous speaker, who I'm mourning that I didn't hear because he's our hero in New Zealand, is also Nathan's hero, and all of the things that were done in San Francisco are the things that Nathan talks about, and I needed someone convincing to talk about. Yes, change. And change. So this is one of the ways that we've described this. The story, many of you would be very conversant with the story of the starfish on the beach. A man's coming along a beach, there's a little boy throwing these starfish. There's been a huge tide and the starfish are left on the beach. And the little boy is throwing each starfish that he picks up back into the sea. And the man says to him, "You can never save all of these starfish." And the little boy says, "Yes, but I can save this one and I can save this one." That was our vision. That is our vision. That each single life that we save is important and precious. Change. And the next part of it was resensitising our SPCAs. So many of them had killed so many animals for so long that we needed to start talking about what we were doing in emotional terms, because when you're desensitised, it's easy to see a litter of kittens and see them just as numbers. Change. Once you've got your leader, you then need someone who can carry that through and change. I feel like I'm dancing. And I guess that the compulsion for us were these statistics, and I've shown you these a couple of years before, but you can see the blue is the population of New Zealand. The red is our euthanasia rate, and the green is our adoption rate. You can see that, and in fact I didn't put the total number of animals against that, but we were rising about a 2-to-1 increase in the number of animals over the general population. So if you think about the population going like that, then you had animals rising like that. An impossible situation. Even when we were doing very good population control, we've been able to stabilise the number of animals that have come in. We've been able to increase our adoption rate, but our euthanasia is still far too high, and you'll see that in 2008 it was still higher than the adoption rate. Change? And so the 2010 Saving Lives conference pointed out that actually in other places in the world, the reduction to under 20%, under 10% euthanasia had occurred. Change? And this was our kind of our secret weapon. Nathan was amazing. He made a lot of friends in New Zealand. I brought him over and he presented at the conference, and then he did 3 workshops throughout New Zealand, full-day workshops in Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch. We had turnout not just from SPCAs but also from Animal Control, that's our council, and other groups like the Cat Protection League, and there are a number of other cat rescue groups, the Lonely Meow in Auckland. Change? We adopted him. Change? So what we said to our centres was change. That we knew that it was going to be hard for them. Change? But they needed to talk to us. We weren't expecting them to do this alone. So they had their 10-point plan, and I'll have some of those for you in the break that you can pick up. And also that is on the CD. Change? Nathan talks a lot about celebration, and we made a big deal of that. Change? And again, we were saying to them, just remember what we're doing. It's not just saving animals, we're actually affecting people's lives. Change? And we also said to them, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, and it is. We're now into our 2nd year, and it doesn't get any easier. What does happen is that we've got a lot more joy. Change? But the most important thing, and certainly I've just spoken at the No Kill conference, and was lucky enough to be in, I think, 400 people who were all looking at the same issue, and the theme of that conference was leadership. Change? I used this slide in America. It's not that popular, but there is at the moment not that popular. Maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it was great, but actually it didn't go over all that well. But I did point out that I'd been caught in an airport and watched Oprah with this gentleman on Oprah with his wife. And Oprah asked him what was the one thing that he regretted for the last 2 years. And he said, letting go of the vision. They'd got so interested in finances and health that the vision of a can-do nation had gone. Change? And the quote still bears true. We are the ones we've been waiting for. You can't expect somebody else to do it. You have to be the one that does it. Change? So, saving lives. Do the thing that you think you can't. Actually, all of my quotes are just about all Americans, and they are an amazing can-do nation. I have to say, you tip your hat, because for all of the naysayers, there are amazing things happening in America in all walks of life, but especially in animal welfare. Change? Change? And that's their catch cry. And as he said, they've let go of that vision, and it just goes to show that you can't afford to. Change. And a long quote, so change again. This was our theme for our 2010 conference, that we would help any SPCA that needed us. Change? We have a de-sexing caravan, so that costs me around about $250,000 a year, and that goes to SPCAs throughout New Zealand and de-sexes animals for free. Change? And microchips them. We've got amazing fundraisers in National Office, and we have adopted, we've adopted the Cupcake Day appeal, and we had a fantastic, we're well towards a fantastic result for this year. Change? And that was change. Change. You've got lots of pictures here of cupcakes and things, and that's Chris, our fundraiser, who's very pregnant at the moment. Change. And change. and change. That's Selena in the middle, another one of our fundraisers. We do a lot of social networking, and we've certainly done wonders with our Facebook page. We've adopted dogs through our Facebook page, and we've raised money for animals that have needed specific operations. We had a little dog with cherry eye down in one of our very small SPCAs, and in 3 days we raised enough money, or more than enough money actually, to have that operation and to care for that dog until he got a home. Change. And we're doing all of the marketing that we possibly can, and we're rolling that out to our branches as well. Change. We've got Madeline, who does amazing work with grants. Last year we got $80,000 for our desexing caravan, which is being used towards the $250,000 this year. And our donors have really come to the party. I've got a major donor who emailed me the other day and said, "Hi Robyn, I have put a cheque for $1 million in the mail. Can you tell me when it arrives?" So I kind of woke up, because it was on my iPhone. I woke up quickly and thought, someone's having me on, and then I saw who it was, and it is one of our major donors who's given us, over a period of time, $500,000, but this was $1 million, which is a whole lot more. And we keep her fully informed of what we do. Clearly, she approves of saving lives, because basically that's all that's come through her letterbox for the last year or so. And it arrived with no tags. Those of you who are fundraisers know how important that is. No tags, and to be used, so obviously to be used for our saving lives. Change. This is our Adopt-a-thon, which we do with Hills, and coincidentally it fell for the first time on Valentine's Day, so now we do it as the nearest weekend to Valentine's Day. It's an excellent program, and it's been a lot of fun to do. Change. Sorry, Sarah, change again. Sarah will kill me. At the centre of all of this is my Saving Lives ambassador, Sarah. Sarah does an amazing, amazing job, but she's in constant contact with any and all of our centres. Remember, there are 48, a lot. And they can ring at any time, and she will shift animals backwards and forwards for them, make sure that they get some money for desexing if they need it, get microchips. We've just got $100,000 given to us to pay for microchips, because with the Christchurch earthquake, that was one of the ways. Sorry, $10,000. Am I right, Sarah? 10. It's 100 microchips, whatever. We asked for 100,000. They only gave us 10. Never mind. We're not grumpy about it. And that'll go to the SPCAs that are closest to the fault line, because our animals came back much faster, got back into their homes much faster in Christchurch when they were microchipped. Change. So this year, the SPCA conference we named it The Power of One, and that had all sorts of connotations. It was the power of saving one life, and it was the power of one person who could motivate the rest of their centre, and it was the power of one centre within a community. Change. And because we had been going at that stage for a year, we decided to let the centres speak for themselves, and so we had a 2.5-hour session where we awarded a trophy to, in actual fact it ended up being 12 different centres for the work that they'd done in saving lives, and we chose one centre for each of the saving lives precepts. So this was our trophy. It's a beautiful trophy. It's quite large, and they can sit it on their desk. Change. And the first SPCA to get a trophy was actually Sarah's, the SPCA that Sarah manages, which is Waihi. And what was your euthanasia rate for the last year, Sarah? 1%. Now, Sarah always says, how do you eat an elephant? To this, she'll go along to the committee meetings. We are run by committees, I swear. It's terrible. But that's how the organisation runs, and it's democratic. but it's not easy. So Sarah goes in and talks to them about all the things that they are doing. There's a checklist at the back of the Saving Lives booklet that you can that is on the CD, and so she goes through to show them exactly what they are doing, and then they start piece by piece to put together what they can do for saving lives. But Sarah will tell you that she ate the elephant all at once. She spent all their money and then came to me to get some more. And, well, what can you do? She's got, Waihi is a little town. It's a mining town. It's a very poor town. They are now taking in 3 times the number of animals that they were. Sarah, 3 times? Yeah. Partly because wherever Sarah goes, she picks up animals and brings them back. Some of them come to head office, and I think most of us have now got a Sarah animal. But certainly, even with that, even with pulling more animals in and TNR, Waihi is situated between 2 gorges, and there are colony cats on both sides, and Sarah is pulling in the colony cats and desexing them and putting them back, much to the wrath of the council, but never mind, we're working through that very gently as well. The deal is that actually it's cut down the number of kittens that have come into Waihi, that have come from the Waihi area to, give me a number, Sarah. Whereas half of the animals that were coming in fact probably more than half of the animals that were originally coming in, of the around about 500 animals they did a year, were kittens. So that alone assists. Sarah's doing off-site adoptions up. There's a holiday area just beyond where Waihi is. She does off-site adoptions in her little car, and if there was ever a can-do attitude, Waihi has got it. They haven't spent money on buildings, they've spent money on desexing animals. Change? Whangarei, Francie, when she met Nathan, it was kind of love at first sight. She went back to her centre, and she came to the Auckland workshop. She went back to her centre, rang her dog control. Now, what Whangarei is up here in the North Island, and Wellington's down here. She paid for the dog control officers, 2 dog control officers, to go to Nathan's workshop for the day so that they would be on program for her. She was the one that sent an email the first day back saying, in tears she said, that a lady had come in with a cat and said, and cat and kittens, and said, I just can't cope anymore. And she'd said, well, we'll take the kittens, but will you take the cat back if we desex it? The woman burst into tears and, of course, took the cat back. So in that one instant, she could see that Saving Lives actually worked, that Nathan's program actually works. She's gone on from strength to strength. Again, she's one that is spending enormous amounts of money, but she also does outreach into the community. She's got clinics where she offers information about pet ownership and worming and defleeing and desexing and microchipping. She does a lot of free microchipping into her community, and she has a very rough element in the community. She's got people coming into her centre saying, you know, look at my beautiful dog, instead of, and coming in and letting them desex their male pit bulls, which is amazing. How she does it, I don't know, but she does. So Whangarei were one of our awards for the community outreach that they do. Change? And, of course, when they go back into their community, they were able to get media off the back of the work that they had been doing and recognition for what they were doing. Change? Nicole from Rotorua has got what she calls her special dogs. At the moment, well, the last time we talked to her, she had about 10. She, as well, comes from a community where there are a lot of difficult to adopt dogs, for that read pit bulls. And so she is working really hard with the behavioural aspects of that. The problem that she tells me is that they get so attached to the dogs that actually the staff say, no, this one really needs a little bit more time with us. But they are doing amazing work in adopting those dogs that are very difficult to home, and they're basically giving a guarantee of good behaviour because they're working with a behaviourist all the time for these dogs. She's also doing a lot of major surgeries, legs and so forth, and adopting those animals out as well. Change. Yes. And this was one SPCA that really was resistant. She was really resistant to saving lives. She didn't believe that she could do it. She's a very experienced inspector. She has a very difficult area to manage. We just happened to have our conference in Rotorua, where she was, and she would be one of our best exponents of saving lives now. So she knew she had to do it, but boy, she's done it in aces. Change. And again, fantastic local media and change. Danny Auger is in a little town called Palmerston North, which has a vet school, the Massey Vet School. And so he's really lucky because he gets his desexing work done very cheaply. But they have a fantastic snip and chip program. So microchipping for free, free desexing, and they've had huge numbers going through. Certainly they're one of the more fortunate SPCAs in that they do have the vet clinic, the vet students there who do the desexing for them, and they also have a reasonable amount of money in the bank. But Danny's making sure that instead of sitting in the bank as it was before we did Saving Lives, it's actually being used in the centre. He's also one who does amazing adoption drives as well. Change. And again, you know, it's just gold. As soon as the community know that you're doing this, that's when you get your funds coming in. Change. Donna from Nelson, she has a pool of foster carers that take her large dogs. She had a barking problem within her centre, and she has an amazing pool of volunteers. So, I mean, one of the things that you've got to do is get help. You can't do it on your own. A lot of our SPCAs were saying, well, we can't possibly do this, and then you go and you find out that they've really only got volunteers that clean out the kennels. There are so many more things that people can do, and fostering has become huge with some of our SPCAs, especially the ones that were having difficulty taking dogs in the first place. Why, here's one of those. Most of their dogs are out at foster or in Sarah's vehicle. Yes, well, we've got Peanut. We should have brought Peanut over here, but we think that our financial controller, who basically arrived on the job the first day and said, I don't do dogs, we think that she's going to take Peanut home, who is as cute as he sounds. Just a gorgeous little thing. Change. And again, there's one of her big dogs. Change. Nick in Wellington is our hero as far as adoptions go. He has done off-site adoptions for the last 2 years. He started doing them out of an old horse float, and he also was the one that had did the 500 number at our free Feline Friday. Auckland started off doing the free Feline Friday when they were overrun with cats, and they did about 100. They weren't quite geared up. Nick knew that it was going to be huge, and so he organised for another couple of SPCAs to bring in animals, and they adopted over a period of 2 days about 500 cats and kittens. It was just amazing, and we're not like some of the chains. We don't have one of those every week. And people have said, you're giving an animal away, it hasn't got worth. Actually, we have the name and address, we know where they live. And so Wellington have been very good at writing to them and saying, how is Fluffy? We're really happy that you took her. How's she getting on? And then 6 months out, we need some money for whatever we do. They're hot donors. Don't ever dismiss that. It's not a cat that you've given away, it's a donor that you've got. It's like, we're not losing a daughter, we're gaining a son. Well, you're not losing a cat, you're gaining a donor. Change? The story of that was, and I think I've got time to tell it, they had this cat called Moana who was, Nathan calls them overstimulation biters. She was just a biter, actually. And she was beautiful. There's a picture of her there. And this is a news piece that they had. It was about 8 minutes long on the national news for the whole country. And so they showed Moana and said, Moana really needs a home, but she bites. Moana actually was forgotten in the melee, and she wasn't one of the cats that went. But the interviewer, the girl who had done all the interviews, came rushing in the next day and said, has she gone? Has she gone? And no, she hadn't gone, actually. So she took her home. Moana is no longer a biter. She has found her bliss, and she doesn't bite anymore. So not only did we get 8 minutes on the news the first day, we also got Moana's story the next day. National news, it's gold. Change. Leslie from Gisborne SPCA started our adoptions into, or at least our sales of SPCA animals into Animates, which is a pet chain throughout New Zealand. They have 18 outlets. They have adoption standards that are higher than ours. So we were very happy to be signing an MOU, but Leslie jumped the gun, actually, and already had high health animals that were chipped and desexed going into Animates. Animates sell them as SPCA pets at a very reasonable price. The SPCA does get enough to cover their costs as far as the chipping and the neutering and so forth goes. And to date, in less than a year, they've rehomed over 1,000 animals for us, puppies and kittens. They also have a deal with us that if we want to do off-site adoptions, we can do them for older animals in their car park. And they have big car parks. So they've been amazing. We're absolutely delighted. They partnered with us over the Christchurch earthquake, and they basically had a deal where if you went into an Animate store in Christchurch, you could microchip your cat for free, and they were paying all the charges around that for the microchip and for putting it on the database. Change? We're just about at the end. Faye from Taupo, fantastic fundraiser, and they just posted, they went from the upper 60s in the euthanasia, they're down below 15% now, tracking on the last 6 months. Change? And change. Auckland SPCA now have a cat coalition, and there are 90 partners in that cat coalition. Mainly they're colony feeders, but they're also adopters of cats as well. Change. Sandra from Tikawiti, I wish I could tell you this story, but basically that's another rough area where they are working day and night, basically, to get the aggressive big dogs desexed, and her daughter is the inspector. And a very short version of the story, her daughter was driving along, saw this guy with a great big dog, entire dog, stopped, said, do you want to get your dog desexed? He said, yes, but you'll have to come and pick it up, and you'll need a chain. So she went round, got the dog into the van, were on a pole, got it desexed, put it back in the van, and when she opened the van, the dog was awake and up on all fours. She did get it back to its owner, but it's a dangerous job in Tikawiti being with the SPCA. Change. We've got a new op shop regime. Anybody who wants to open an op shop has got access to $5,000 seeding money so that they can set up an op shop. It's gold. What did you do in your first? Sarah opened one, and in her first 3 months she made $20,000. Yeah. So it's just we had to do it, and one of our shops in Wellington and the first month did $22,000. It's a lot of money. Change? And change? I wish I could adopt this girl. She does everything. We had to give her the can-do prize because she's again from a small town. She's out there microchipping, desexing, using all their money up. They've got very little left in the bank, actually, but she says that the donations actually are rolling in and following the work. Change? Change. Bay of Islands didn't come to conference because they actually wanted to spend the $2,000 it would cost them to get to the conference on more desexing. Change? So, just finally, coming back to what I started with, you do need leadership, but I think the other big message for us is that if you let go of the vision, as President Obama did, then, and you're so busy with all of the small things, and you lose that vision, then you really risk losing the point and the success of your program. Change? And I guess that for me, as soon as I read Nathan's book, I knew that this was the right thing to do. And that is what drives me. I know that is what drives Sarah. And we see the change in our SPCAs. They're happier, they're healthier, and people want to come along and volunteer for them. Foster programs are going gangbusters, and certainly that's the way that we've been able to deal with our health problems. Anything that's that has upper resp or ringworm goes out on foster until it's well and can be then taken to an off-site adoption so that it's adopted straight out and doesn't even come back into the centres and change. And I guess that was our final message to our centres, because while we're right behind them and helping them every step of the way, in the end it's up to them to make that decision and change. I think that's it. Thank you.